So ever since I've lived in Brampton, I've noticed all this online discourse and actually even real life discourse surrounding the city that really I don't know, it triggers something in my mind and it really bothers me to a certain extent. So anyone who's actually lived in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, has probably heard about Brampton, and they probably have a certain things that they associated with the city in their mind. Like the biggest thing about Brampton is the car insurance rates are so high. It's very expensive to stay. It's all houses. It has a really high immigrant population. Some people call it Browntown, for example. That'll tell you everything you need to know about the city. What really bothers me when people talk about Brampton is that a lot of the stuff they say is kind of like a dog whistle to hide the low-key racist mindsets that they have. A lot of these people have this notion that since Brampton is just full of brown people, oh, it's just like this dirty place, so people don't know how to drive, they don't fit in with the Canadian culture, whatever the fuck that is. And okay, they just try as hard as they can to find anything in the news or anything in general just to paint Brampton in this negative light. You'll see news articles once in a while and they'll have like a small mention of Brampton. Maybe there's like a car accident that happened in Brampton. It's a city of 600,000 people. Obviously there's going to be car accidents once in a while, right? And every single comment in this news article will just be some like low-key or even high-key racist shit about, brown people. It really pisses me off. As a brown person myself, this shit hurts, man. This shit hurts, alright? And then you have accounts like Sixbuzz. They'll post something like, oh, this guy ran into a mailbox in Brampton, and then they'll be like, thoughts? And the comments every single fucking comment will be like, oh, these people don't know how to drive. Brampton? More like Browntown. Ha ha ha, this is so fucking funny. Like, fuck off, man. Fuck off. And the thing is, you will never hear the same shit about another town. Like, you mentioned Mississauga. It's literally the same thing as Brampton. Mississauga is not very different than Brampton. But you won't have the same stigma associated with Mississauga. Why is that? What's the reason for that? Like, even someone who lives in some way rural fucking shithole in Ontario, they've heard about Brampton, alright? And they're gonna have a very strong opinion about it. One theory I have is that this is just a lot of people who feel maybe out of place in Canada now that the demographics are changing a lot. Like in the last 10 years, Brampton as a city has changed a lot. Canada sees like 400,000 immigrants every year. Without immigration, our population would actually be declining, right? So what's happening is a lot of these immigrants, when they're coming from, for example, they're coming from India, and they see that Brampton already has a big South Asian population, so there's a lot of support networks there. Maybe their extended family members are in Brampton, so they're like, okay, we should probably move to this city. And once they establish themselves in the country a little bit more, maybe they move out, maybe they not just stay. It doesn't fucking matter, right? But due to this, you have this big South Asian population in Brampton, and that just makes it such a fucking easy target for these people on the internet, right? And the second thing I want to talk about is, for the size of this city, Brampton is something like the 9th largest municipality in Canada. For the size of this city, Brampton gets very low resources from the government. Like, why do we only have one hospital for a city serving this many fucking people? Right? Brampton never gets any new infrastructure. There's very low government investment. And, in general, it's not great. Like, Brampton gets the same amount of investment as these very small towns in Ontario, while being such a huge country. And then we have this mayor, Patrick Brown, who gets into a scandal every other month, right? And we don't get enough investment from even the political. We don't get enough even political investment from the countries. And as a Brampton resident, I really want to defend Brampton. Okay, I went to the University of Waterloo for university. I did engineering, and my classmate was full of people from all across Canada, international students, and when we were discussing, cities in Ontario, for example, I would always try to, defend my city. And I just find it weird that, why do I have to stand up for my city? Why does it have a terrible reputation? People could be from like Windsor or Thunder Bay and no one would, bat an eye. But If I say I'm from Brampton, they're like, oh, car insurance, blah, 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 blah. Like, fuck off, man. Brampton's a better city than a lot of other cities, alright? And I will die on this hill.